I'm going to show you how to make the braid cabled ankle booties. And I'm going to be showing you generally how to go about making a gusset styled heel in a much more simplistic format than I've seen in general online from one other person, and it doesn't require stitch holder unless you want it to. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've done my initial band on my pattern, and that's pretty easy to follow. It's self-explanatory. You're working circularly, so get up to that point, and then it'll say we're going to start on the heel, and this is what we mean by starting on the heel. Okay, on this one, here is the band that I've just completed. You'll see it here, and then you see the extension, which we're going to be working from here to here. Okay, that's where we're going to be working from here to here. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is we're going to be splitting this up. Okay, I'm going to be working between this peg here, which is just before our starting point, and this peg over here, which is, if you count from here, this is the 28th peg over here. So if you want to get a better idea, you go and you get your starting peg here, and you count over 28 and put your marker over here. Okay, and that'll tell you where you'll be going back and forth from, because we're fixing to start working flat. Okay, and on each side should have a 4 knit set. And the reason I did that is because when you start doing these short rows, these flat, knitting flat, your end knit is going to disappear when we go to add in and start working on like what would be the gusset section. Okay, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to start working flat. Let me release this. Now in between those two pegs, and I'm going to knit 3 because I already knitted that one, and then purl 3. So basically you're going to continue the rib stitch pattern that you started off with on this back section. You're just going to continue it, and you're going to continue it for 15 rows. Knit 3, purl 3. And there's your knit 4 right there. Okay, then you're going to work back the other direction to the next stitch marker. You're going to knit 4, then purl 3. Then knit 3, now you're going to do that. That's your second row right there. So you're going to do that for 14 rows. So you're going to continue that until you've done 14 rows. So you've already done 2, so do 12 more. Let's go ahead and pause video, do 12 more rows, and then we'll go from there on working on the heel. So you're working between those 2 stitch markers for 12 more rows, and then we'll go from there. Okay, at this point, we've done our flat rows. You see an opening that has developed here and over here. Okay, so now we're going to do a casting off, which is what we're here. So we're to here. Okay, and I'm just going to do a regular, nothing special cast off. You can do the stitch holder method if you want to do the stitch holder method. I'll put a link to the video up here for my stitch holder method. So we're going to cast off 10 pegs, 10 stitches. We're going to do it fairly loose because we'll need to be able to put these stitches back on. Just don't do it too tight. Okay, so you should have 10 empty pegs. And at this point, we're going to purl 2, knit 3, purl 3, knit 3, purl 3, knit 4. Now we're going to cast off 10 on this side. Again, don't do a very tight cast off. You're going to need to be able to pull this cast off looping back onto the pegs at this next section. Okay. At this point, you should have an extension over here, an extension over here. Now we're going to be slowly adding these back, and I'll show you the next section we're on, is this section here. And this is where we're slowly, with each row, going to be pulling up our bind off stitches over here. We're going to be pulling them back up and adding them back on with each row. Okay, so how we're going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and at this point we're not doing the rib stitch, we're just going to knit because we're working the bottom of the heel at this point. So I'm just going to knit my way over. Okay. At this point, I'm going to look at what I have, and this one's what we just tossed over. This is what we want to pull up right here. Okay, you'll see these chain things here, see, and you want to keep up with that. Alright, so we want to pull up that one right there, and I'm pulling up the back stitches so that when you wear it, you don't feel a lump around your heel. Okay. So I'm going to put that back on. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to toss both loops over and knit my way to the other side. Then I'm going to look at my stitches here, my cast off stitches, and that one looks like it's my first one. Yeah, wait a second, that one's my first one. And so I'm going to pull that one up. So you're just going to follow those chain sections back. You're just going to knit to the other side. then you're going to find your next chain looking at it, and looks like that one's the next one. So you're going to grab that and put it back on. The peg. There we go. Okay. And then you're going to knit your way over. You're going to toss both those loops over. Knit to the other side. And you're going to continue to add these bind off stitches back in one row at a time. On each end you add an end. So that one looks like my next unworked one, so we're going to put that back on there. There we go. And so you want to keep working these up. Oops. That back on there. Until you have no more to work in. And I'll show you one more time, and then I'm going to tell you to pause the video and complete this particular section, and then I'll show you how to do the gusset part, which actually isn't that difficult. So this looks like the next non-worked chain to put on. I obviously did my bind off a little tighter on this side than the other. Okay, here we go. At this point, go ahead, pause the video, and continue adding all those chains in. So you keep adding those until you have no more to add in. Okay, well, there is our heel. Now we need to add these sections back on the loom so that we can close it up. So when it's done, you'll see it's reconnected through here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to find what I call the bridge between the stitches. Okay. Last one. Okay, that adds all the stitches back on that side. Okay, now we're going to go on this side. Stretched out. There's our first bridge. Our next bridge. Next one. Next one. You'll get to where you see it pretty quickly. There's two little bubbles and then a strand that goes between them. And that's what you're pulling back up. So that's strand. Okay. Well, there you go. You're reconnected. Now at this point, it's as simple as starting to work fairly normally. So what I'm going to do is take and knit my way over to my first stitch marker. Okay, there's my first stitch marker. Okay, so now we're going to we're going to knit around the front half. And so what we're going to do is we're going to knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, E-wrap 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because that's our cable section there. And we're going to purl 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're back, and I'm going to knit that next one to make it 6 and 6 on each side. So that's going to be counted, and that's going to be counted as a front half, like it the front half like it should be. So at this point you have just completed your heel section, and now we're ready to move on to the rest of the booty and working on the cabling. And this is what it starts to look like with the cabling down the front. Okay, I'm fixing to start showing you the cabling section at the front of the booty. This here, as you can see, and it's going to be a 8-row pattern, and you're going to end up doing it 6 times. So let me start off by showing you how to do that 8-row pattern. So first thing you want to do is you're going to knit over to your halfway point. So you've knitted over to your halfway point over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 28. And then we're going to go to 33. So 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So I'm going to move this stitch marker now because I don't need it there over to the next stitch that I'm going to be working. Okay, now I'm going to purl 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, then I'm going to E-wrap 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to shove those down, and we're going to purl 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to move our stitch marker from over here. We're going to put it on the peg with the last purl. So you know that from here to the stitch marker over here, you start your purling in your cable section, but all the way back around here is knit. Keep that in mind. And this will be our first row we're finishing up. of our 8-row pattern. And you're going to repeat that row again, exactly as it is. Knit over 33. Purl 4. E-wrap 9. Purl 4. And then knit back to your starting point. Okay, this is our 3rd row of our 8-row set. So knit to your stitch marker. Okay, purl 4. Then you're going to E-wrap 3. Then you're going to want to double E-wrap the next 3. Toss the bottom loop over. And purl 4. And knit back to your starting point. Now we're starting row 4 for 8-row set, which means we're going to be cabling. So go ahead and knit to your stitch marker. Purl 4. You're going to E-wrap 3. Toss those loops over. Then you're going to release those double E-wrap pegs. You're just going to release the top wrap. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take that slack and you're going to work it over those 6 pegs evenly. And this will make for an easier 6-peg right cable cross. So here's our 6 pegs. We're going to skip pegs 1, 2, and 3 and E-wraps pegs 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to place loop 6, loop 5, and then loop 4 onto your stitch holder in that order. Take and place the stitch holder into the middle of the loom. Bring your working yarn in front of your stitch holder and E-wrap pegs 1, 2, and 3. Place stitch 3 on peg 6. Place stitch 2 on peg 5 and stitch 1 onto peg 4. You're going to come back to your stitch holder and you're going to pick up stitch 4 off your stitch holder and place it onto peg 1. Then take stitch 5 off your stitch holder and place it onto peg 2, and take stitch 6 and place it onto peg 3. Then I go in and start with peg 1 and snug up my loops. At this point you're going to want to purl 4 and then knit your way to your starting point. At this point, go ahead and pause the video and complete your stitches 5 and 6 the way you did your row 1. So complete rows 5 and 6 the same as row 1 and 2. And that's where you're just knitting over to the stitch holder, purling 4, E-wrapping 9, purl 4, and then knit your way back to the beginning. So go ahead and do those 2 rows, and then I'll show you row 7, which is a row before a cable, and it's going to be for a left cable cross. So go ahead and do those 2 rows. Okay, I went ahead and on my 7th row knitted my 33 around my stitch marker. And so now to do row 7, I'm going to knit those 33, and then I'm going to purl my 4, which is what I'm doing next. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now I need to double wrap the first 3 pegs. So there's 1, 2, 3, because we're doing a left cable cross, and then E-wrap 6. Toss your bottom loops over. Then you're going to purl 4. Knit back to your starting point, which will be 6 pegs if you're wondering. Okay. Now we're going to do our last row of our 8 row set. So here's this. We're going to knit over 33 pegs. Okay, you're going to purl 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you're going to release those top loops on those double wrapped pegs. Now we're not going to spread these out evenly because we need these to stretch. So we're going to put loops 3, and then 2, and then 1 on our stitch holder. Take them off the pegs and hold to the middle of the loom. Bring your working yarn in front of your stitch holder and E-wrap pegs 4 and move it over to peg 1 and E-wrap pegs 5 and move that stitch over to peg 2. E-wrap peg 6, move that stitch over to peg 3. And I like to snug those up. Then I like to take off stitch 1 off my stitch holder and place it onto peg 4. E-wrap the stitch, then take stitch 2 off your stitch holder and place it onto peg 5. E-wrap it, then take stitch 3 and place it onto peg 6. E-wrap. Then you're going to E-wrap 3, and I'll usually go over here on the purl side. It makes it a little easier to toss those over because that's going to have the most tension on that one over here. So you're going to E-wrap 3 and then purl 4 and then knit the 6. Okay. At this point, you're going to continue that 8-row set 5 more times for a total of 6 times. Okay. And this is what you should get. So go ahead and pause your video and keep going on those 8-row sets until you have a total of 6 sets that you've done. And the way to show when you've done a set, as you can see, there's a cross here and there's a cross here. That's 1 set, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 6 ones up in there. So, go ahead and pause the video and complete that much. Okay, you've done that much, and now what we want to do is we want to do our toe area, and we're going to do a toe down sock so that we can continue this beautiful cabling all the way to the tip of the toes. So what we want to do is we want to divide our loom in half, okay, and we're going to count over 28. Now we're going to be working back and forth. We're going to be working flat. And it's kind of like working a heel, but we have to keep up with when we cable. Okay? So, here's the deal. Go ahead and work your way over. So go ahead and knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know you knit 5. Then purl 4, and this is row 1, and you should have just done a left cable cross. So keep this in mind. This is row 1, so that you know when you're supposed to do a cable. Purl 4. Then knit over to just before the last peg, and you'll see there's your colored peg and there's the last one. You're going to wrap and turn and head back the other direction. And you're going to knit those. Then when you get to your stitch marker, go ahead and purl 4. This is row 2. E-wrap 9. Purl 4. Okay. Then you're going to knit over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to wrap and turn. At this point, you don't need a stitch marker. Those wraps and turns tell you where you need to be. So this is row 3. And we know we'll need to prep to do a right cable cross, but it's going to go a little differently than what we've been doing, because our cable cross is going to be going from right to left. And I will show you how to do that. So go ahead and E-wrap the first 3. Okay, and then you're going to double wrap you're going to E-wrap the next 3. Then you're going to double wrap those last 3. So you're going to E-wrap 6 and then double E-wrap the last 3. It's kind of like working in reverse on what you've been doing. It's not hard once I explain to you how to do this. So purl 4, knit over to just before the last wrap and turn, wrap and turn, knit 2, 3, 4, purl 4, okay. Our right cable cross going from left to right is going to work more like a left cable cross. So go ahead and release those top loops. So whatever technique you do regularly, you're going to do the opposite. So you're going to place stitch, what normally is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Say you're going to place stitch 6, and stitch 5 and 4 onto the stitch holder. Okay, hold into the center, go in and wrap pegs 3, move stitch 3 to peg 6, then E-wrap peg 2, move stitch 2 to peg 5, and then E-wrap pegs 1 and move stitch 1 to peg 4. Okay, then we're going to be picking back up. Okay, we're going to be placing stitch 4 onto peg 1, stitch 5 onto peg 2, and stitch 6 onto peg 3. Go ahead and snug up your first loops and E-wrap those 3. And you've just done a right cable cross. Just keep in mind it's a reverse of what you've been doing with the right cable cross. And E-wrap 3. And then you're going to purl 4. And then knit over to just before the last stitch, wrap and turn, and knit over 4. Now you know this is row 5, so purl 4, E-wrap the 9, purl 4, knit to just the last wrap and turn, which is right there. So you're going to knit 3, wrap and turn, and this is row 6, then purl, E-wrap 9, okay, go ahead and purl 4, Then you're going to knit to just before the last wrap and turn. Here's the last one there, so we're going to wrap and turn the next peg. Then you're going to knit over those 3, and then you're going to purl 4, and this is the 7th row. So we're keeping up with the fact we've got the 7th row, which means you're going to need to double wrap some pegs, okay? So go ahead and wrap the first 3, and then double wrap the middle 3, and then E-wrap the last 3. Everything's kind of in reverse. So this is row 7. Then you're going to purl 4. And then knit to just before the last wrap and turn, which is there. So that's only 2, and then we're going to wrap and turn, and this is our row 8. So we're going to knit 2, then we're going to purl 4, okay, and then we're going to E-wrap 3, then you're going to release those double wraps and work them evenly across those 6 pegs. Okay, then you're going to skip pegs 6, 5, and 4 and E-wrap pegs 3, 2, and 1. Place loop 3 on the stitch holder, then loop 2, and then loop 1. Hold into the middle of the loom and bring your working yarn in front and E-wrap pegs 6, 5, and 4. It's maybe a little mind-boggling at first, but you'll get it. You just do the reverse of what you've been doing. So place loop 4 onto peg 1, loop 5 onto peg 6, and loop 6 onto peg 3. Then you're going to place loop 1. Let me move that working yarn to the front. We don't want to intertangle them. To peg 4, loop 2 to peg 5, and loop 3 to peg 6. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to tighten from peg 6 to peg 1. And that is your left cable cross. Then you're going to purl 4, knit 2, wrap and turn. And back to row 1 on our set. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep wrapping and turning until you're down to those 9 pegs where your cabling's going on, and you're going to stop. So this is going to be row 1, and we're wrapping and turning here. Okay, and this is going to be row 2. And then this is going to be row 3. And then this is going to be cable, row 4. And you are going to get into your purls with your wrap and turns. And you're just going to keep going, recalling what your next row is, because that's how you're going to keep up with this cabling up through here. So you continue your wrap and turn however many times it takes. If you don't have to cable before the last one, it's okay. You're going to stop cabling once you get to those 9 pegs in the middle. Okay, and that's where we're going to stop, and then we're going to start working the bottom half of the toe, which is really easy. So go ahead, pause the video, continue finishing up your toe, and then we will go from there. Okay, I have wrapped and turned my way down to my 9 pegs. You can see my working yarn is at the last wrap and turn. Now what I'm going to do is knit and start adding those wrap and turns back in. So I'm just going to be knitting, because this is the bottom of the toe. So on that last wrap and turn, toss both loops over. Work your way back to the next wrap and turn, toss both loops over. And you're going to keep going back and forth, adding a wrap and turn back in with each row until you have no more wraps and turns. And then you're going to do a Kitchener bind off, and I will give you a link up here as exactly how to do that without having to do the needles, the knitting needles. And you can do that on the loom. You will need your stitch holder though, because you'll need to lift up half your stitches and place them parallel to the stitches on the other half. And then you just take a needle and weave. So I'm going to put up a video for that so you know what to do. And while it may have been for a toe up, it works the same. It's just a Kitchener bind off. So go ahead and finish up this sock, and then do your Kitchener bind off, and you're done. That's how you make this toe down with a gusset heel sock. So it's a whole bunch of new techniques all lumped into one pattern. So go ahead, finish things up, and then do your Kitchener bind off, and you're done. You'll need to make 2.